Thank you, boys and girls. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Arne Gale. I'm the superintendent of Bell Valley School. On behalf of our Board of Education, faculty, staff, administration, it is my privilege and honor to welcome our veterans, active duty members of the United States Armed Forces, and their families to our 2024 Bell Valley Veterans Day Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, this assembly sits at the top of the important events here at Bell Valley School. It's special because when we say the simple words, "Thank you for your service," we know that we are thanking the most deserving and honorable people in our country. We also know that when we say those words, we also feel an inner sense of pride that we are part of the country that has led the world in the fight for freedom. Veterans and members of the Armed Forces, thank you for showing up today to receive the honor and gratitude rightfully yours. The freedom we all enjoy today is proof that that honor has already been earned. We cannot add or detract from it. We are simply here to acknowledge it and to pay respect to all those veterans, present and past, for their service. And now I am honored to introduce to you the United States Air Force Honor Guard, based out of our very own Scott Air Force Base. They are here to present the colors. Would everyone please stand and face the Honor Guard?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. Had the rockets rent the air, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the
standing until the honor guard has departed. Thank you. Everyone may be seated. Round of applause for the honor guard and for Mr. Gallagher. Wow. And now it is my honor to recognize those members of Bell Valley faculty and staff that are veterans or they have close family members that are veterans or are currently serving in the military. I would ask you all to hold your applause until the very end. And if these teachers would also, or paraprofessionals, would please stand and stay standing until the very end, I would appreciate that. First up, we have Mr. Todd Gladle. He is a retired United States Air Force Master Sergeant. Mrs. Elizabeth Hodge, she's a second grade teacher. Her husband, Keith Hodge, is active duty Air Force. Currently, he is a Chief Master Sergeant and with 23 years of service so far. Mrs. Laura Hoffman, she's a speech teacher here. Her husband, Derek Hoffman, serves in the United States Air Force as a Master Sergeant. Mrs. Tiffany Knetovich is a paraprofessional in our district and is an Air Force veteran. Nurse Carol Friend's husband, Kurt, is a retired Air Force veteran, and her nephew, Zane Burrows, is a United States Air Force airman. Mrs. John McCloskey, Bell Valley professional, was a senior airman in the United States Air Force, and her husband, Jeremiah McCloskey, is a retired United States Air Force Senior Master Sergeant. Mrs. Olivia Ford, our early childhood teacher, her husband, Tech Sergeant Daniel Ford, serving in the United States Air Force. Ms. Madeline McDivitt, an occupational therapist here at Bell Valley. Her Sergeant McDivitt, as her husband, serves in the United States Air National Guard. Mrs. Lana Coots, an elementary art teacher, has a son-in-law, Staff Sergeant Aaron Turner, stationed in Anchorage, Alaska. Ms. Courtney Boos, our curriculum coordinator, has a brother, Pearson Boos. He is an E4 in the Army National Guard. And Ms. Patricia Epps is an early childhood teacher. She is a veteran of the United States Army. Congratulations to each of those. Thank you for your service to all of you. And now I would ask the 8th grade Bell Valley Knights to please approach the podium.
We are the 8th grade Knights leadership team. We would like to present a few brief points of history about Veterans Day. First, let me introduce our 8th grade Knights leadership team. I am Sophia Toon. Next is Kimbrell Mariano, Harper Krause, Carson Watts, Kylan Santos, Aiden Baker, and Emlyn Chastel.
Armistice Day was the original name of Veterans Day. It was called this because it represented the first anniversary of a cessation between Germany and the Allied nations in World War I. The armistice began in 1918, the 11th month, on the 11th day at the 11th hour. However, it does not signify the actual end of the war. It merely represents the start of the end. Originally, Veterans Day was not intended to take place every year. It was not until 1926 that Congress determined should be a yearly occurrence.
It was not until 1938 that the day became a holiday recognized nationwide. President Dwight D. Eisenhower is responsible for the name change from Armistice Day to Veterans Day. He did this in 1954, reasoning that the day should be about recognizing veterans who served in any war instead of focusing on the end of one war.
Veterans Day was not always celebrated on November 11th. Congress put forth the Uniform Holidays Act in 1968, which specified that the holiday would be observed every October on the fourth Monday. This went through in 1971. 4 years later, President Gerald Ford undid this move by signing a law that returned the holiday back to November 11th. Now, Veterans Day is always on November 11th. If that day falls on a weekend, many businesses observe the holiday on its closest weekend or weekday, either Friday or Monday, allowing for a day off work that the employees are entitled to.
A known symbol of Memorial Day is the poppy, but most American Legion auxiliary groups also make poppies out of red crepe paper by hand in honor of Veterans Day. Veterans Day and Memorial Day are distinctly different. Memorial Day is celebrated in honor of soldiers who died in the line of duty. Veterans Day honors all soldiers who have served, including those who have passed and those who currently serve. Honored veterans do not only encompass soldiers who went to war. Veterans Day also recognizes those who served their country during peacetime.
June 12th is the day that credits women veterans. It falls on the Women's Armed Service Integration Act's anniversary, which was signed by President Harry S. Truman in 1948. While it is celebrated in some states, it is not yet a national holiday. On July 16, 1983, President Ronald Reagan held a commemorative ceremony called the National Atomic Veterans Day. This day recognized soldiers who worked in or near Nagasaki and Hiroshima through 1946, worked on nuclear testing from 1945 until 1962, and those who were prisoners of war in or near Nagasaki or Hiroshima. On the same day, in 2021, President Joe Biden once again observed National Atomic Veterans Day. In December of that year, Biden signed a law to officially make the day an annual observance.
More than 400,000 veterans and veterans' families are buried in the Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. The cemetery spans 624 acres. At 11 in the morning on Veterans Day each year, the same time that the World War I armistice was originally signed, an observance is held at Arlington National Cemetery. Guards remember the unknown soldier by laying a wreath on his tomb, followed by a parade of colors conducted by a veterans organization. However, the oldest and biggest Veterans Day parade began in 1919 and is held along Fifth Avenue in New York City. Military.com states that almost 9 million soldiers served in the Vietnam War. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, approximately 7.4 million veterans served during the Gulf War era. As of 2020, there were more than 1 million veterans who served in the Korean War, according to the Department of Veteran Affairs. Only about 167,000 of the 16 million soldiers that were active during World War II were still living in 2022. The Pew Research Center stated that as of 2016, about 77% of veterans had served during wartime. The remaining 23% served during peacetime. Thank you, and God bless America.
Well done, Nuggets. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Mrs. Gallagher and the kindergarten group. Mrs. Gallagher.
The tradition of setting a separate table in honor of our prisoners of war and missing comrades has been in place since the end of the Vietnam War. The manner in which the table is decorated is full of special symbols to help us remember our brothers and sisters in arms. The POW MIA table is separate from the others and can be set for 1 to 5 place settings to represent each service participating in the event. The table is smaller than the others, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his or her oppressors. The white tablecloth draped over the table represents the purity of their response to our country's call to arms. The empty chair depicts an unknown face, representing no specific soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine, but all who are not here with us. The round table shows that our concern for them is never ending. The Bible represents faith in a higher power and the pledge to our country, founded as one nation under God. A black napkin stands for the emptiness these warriors have left in the hearts of their families and friends. A purple heart medal can be pinned to the napkin. A single red rose reminds us of their families and loved ones. The red ribbon represents the love of our country, which inspired them to answer the nation's call. A yellow candle and its ribbon symbolize the everlasting hope for a joyous reunion with those yet accounted for. A slice of lemon reminds us of their bitter fate. Salt represents the tears of their families. An inverted wine glass reminds us that our distinguished comrades cannot be with us to drink or toast or join in the festivities of today. Thank you.
Okay, next up is first and second grade. Mrs. Gallagher.
time, we'd like to share some information about our military branches. Up here helping with me, I've got 5th graders and 6th graders. And we're going to start with 5th grade.
The U.S. Navy is responsible for securing and defending U.S. interests on the seas. It maintains and presence in oceans worldwide. Some key roles include surface warfare, sailors who operate and maintain ships, submarine warfare, sailors who work aboard submarines for covert operations, aviation, pilots and aircrew who operate aircraft from aircraft carriers, special warfare, SEALs, elite unit specializing in unconventional warfare and counter-terrorism. In terms of training, Navy recruits complete boot camp, followed by a specialized technical training for their chosen field.
Let's talk about some U.S. Marines. Admiral Chester W. Nimitz led the Pacific Fleet in World War II, key in winning major battles against Japan. Doris Doreen Miller, mess attendant who heroically manned a gun at Pearl Harbor, becoming one of the first black heroes in the U.S. John Paul Jones, Revolutionary War naval captain, famous for his victories and his bold "I have not yet begun to fight" statement.
Marine Corps is a rapid response force that often serves as the first military presence in a conflict. It also works closely with the Navy and is known for being fast-moving and versatile. Infantry. Marines train for ground combat. Army. Operators of tanks and armored vehicles. Aviation. Marine pilots fly helicopters and fixed-wing aircrafts. Special forces. Special operations personnel who conduct counter-terrorism and other missions. In terms of training, the Marine Corps has the longest and most physical, demanding basic training known as boot camp. Boot camp, which lasts about 12 weeks.
Now, how about some Marine heroes? Our first Marine hero is General Major Smedley Butler, a twice-awarded Medal of Honor recipient with a notable post-military stance on war and service. Our next hero is Gunnery Sergeant Carlos Pacquiao, a legendary sniper from the Vietnam War known for his incredible skill and bravery. And for our last hero, we have Sergeant Major Nigel J. Davey, who was twice awarded a Medal of Honor for his bravery in both the Boxer Rebellion and Haiti.
Thank you, 5th and 6th grade. And now, before 7th and 8th grade come up, we're going to have Ms. Gallagher entertain us with another song.
Okay, 3rd and 4th grade, if you could stand up. 3rd and 4th grade has a song called Thank You Military.
Sorry. Look him up.
Takes a lot of courage to have to say goodbye, not knowing as
4th grade. If I could now have my 7th and 8th grade readers to come up.
First off, we have the Army. The U.S. Army is the oldest and largest branch of the military. Its primary role is to protect and defend the United States through ground warfare. Some other key roles include the infantry, soldiers who fight on foot, the armor, tank and other vehicle operators, the artillery, the operators of large weapons like cannons and rockets, and the engineers. They build and repair infrastructure like bridges, roads, and repair accidents. In terms of training, the Army's basic training lasts for about 10 weeks, followed by advanced individual training for specific roles. Now for some famous Army heroes. First, we have General Dwight D. Eisenhower. He led Allied forces during World War II and eventually became the 34th President of the United States. Then we have Colonel Ruby Bradley. She served as an Army nurse during World War II in Korea and is known for her bravery as a POW in World War II and saving countless lives. Last but not least, we have Audie Murphy, who was a World War II Medal of Honor recipient and is one of the most decorated soldiers in U.S. history.
The second branch of the military that we have is the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard is the nation's maritime law enforcement agency and rescue service, operating under the Department of Homeland Security during peacetime and transferring to the Navy during wartime. Some key rules of the Coast Guard include maritime law enforcement, which enforces U.S. laws on the sea, search and rescue, which conducts rescue missions for distressed vessels and people along the U.S. coastline and in international waters, environmental protection, which protects marine ecosystems, prevents oil spills, and responds to environmental hazards. Port security and defense, which safeguards U.S. ports, harbors, and waterways against threats, including terrorism. In terms of training, the U.S. Coast Guard's basic training lasts about 8 weeks, followed by advanced individual training for specific roles. Some heroes of the Coast Guard include Captain Joshua James, who is credited with saving over 600 lives and is a hero of the early Coast Guard. Another hero of the Coast Guard is Commander Ellsworth Price Berghoff, the first commandant of the modern Coast Guard, and is instrumental in establishing his role. Last but certainly not least is Signalman First Class Douglas A. Monroe, the only Coast Guard member to receive the Medal of Honor for his heroic actions in World War II.
The U.S. Air Force is responsible for air and space security, global precision strike, and rapid global mobility. It also provides support through intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Some key roles in the Air Force are pilots who operate fighter jets, bombers, and transport planes, cyber warfare, which protects military communication and data systems, space operations, which manages satellite systems and space-related technologies, and last, security forces, which are military police who protect air bases and personnel. In terms of training in the Air Force, military training lasted about 8.5 weeks. Airmen then attended technical training schools for their specialties.
Now introducing some Air Force heroes. Brigadier General Chuck Yeager was the first pilot to break the sound barrier in 1947, pioneering in test flights. Colonel Jacqueline Cochran set multiple flying records and was instrumental in forming the Women's Air Force Service pilots in World War II. Captain Scott O'Grady, shot down over Bosnia in 1995. His survival and rescue became a legendary story of the Air Force resilience.
The U.S. Space Force is the newest branch. Established in 2019, its mission is to protect U.S. and allied interests in space, focusing on space operations, satellite communication, missile warning systems, and defense against threats in space. Some key roles include space operations, which manages and defends U.S. space systems, satellite operations that control satellites used for communications and reconnaissance, and finally cybersecurity, which protects space-related data and systems. In terms of training, Space Force members undergo basic training with the Air Force, as the two branches share some structure and operations.
Now introducing some heroes of the Space Force branch. General John W. Raymond, the first Chief of Space Operations for the U.S. Space Force, instrumental in establishing the branch and setting a mission to protect U.S. and allied interests in space. Chief Master Sergeant Roger A. Toberman, the first senior enlisted advisor to the Space Force, focused on building the culture and the values this new branch. Colonel Michael S. Hopkins, a NASA astronaut at first active duty Space Force officer to serve on the International Space Station, paving way for cooperation between military and space exploration.
Our final song this afternoon comes from our world-renowned chorus with Mrs. Gallagher in the lead. Chorus members, please come forward. wonderful job. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our Veterans Day Assembly. Let me first of all say to all of our veterans, active duty military, and their families that are here with us, we sincerely appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us here today. We really, really appreciate that. And more than anything, we appreciate your service to this country. Thank you. Well, I'm going to be a little facetious when I say this.